At the outset of the Cold War and the Korean War, there was a desperate shortage of housing for the sudden 2 million soldiers that joined the US military to defend against a potential communist invasion. In 1949 and 1955, Congress responded by passing the Bowery and Cape Heart Housing Acts, meant to significantly bolster the number of available housing units by enlisting the help of private developers to build those houses. It was a job well done, as over the course of 15 years, more than 200,000 new homes were built for soldiers and their families at bases nationwide. Naval Station Great Lakes, on the Illinois shore of Lake Michigan, was no exception. On a bit of land west of the base used during World War II as a shooting range and for housing soldiers in cramped barracks, builders cleared the way for 3 new subdivisions that could accommodate thousands of sailors. So, in the late 50s and early 60s, the villages of Forrestal, Halsey, and Nimitz were established, all of which were named after prominent figures in the Navy. The focus of today's video is that second one, Halsey Village, a neighborhood composed of more than 350 homes in the form of duplexes, quadplexes, and a number of single-family residences. Halsey Village would go on to win an award in 1964 from the Federal Housing Agency for its modern home designs. One resident was quoted in a 1965 magazine article as saying, "These are the best quarters we've ever had. It is the perfect atmosphere for the youngsters, and we're proud to invite anyone to our home." The article goes on to claim, "Halsey Village provides modern homes the Navy man can be proud of." Fast forward 60 years and these proud Navy homes are in pretty rough shape. The hundreds of units they built in the 60s were not really meant to last. The vast majority of the homes in this subdivision are now vacant and falling apart. Black wooden boards were placed over the doors and windows to prevent people from breaking in. The few residents that remained wanted nothing but to find a home elsewhere or be relocated by the Navy. But to think that this isn't even the worst of it. On the southwest side of Halsey Village is a section containing 100 homes that are fenced off from the rest of the neighborhood. The entire place is overgrown beyond recognition, and the homes are unsalvageable. The question of what exactly happened here is one that still has me scratching my head, but I hope through my investigations in this video, I can help to answer that question to some degree. This is a layout of Halsey Village. As I'll explain throughout the video, its 17-year-long process of abandonment could be divided into 3 main phases. The first is the sudden condemning of this section along Intrepid Street, which occurred in either 2007 or 2008. The second encompasses about half of the other homes. There's no particular date for its abandonment, as it was a gradual process of people moving out over several years. The last phase takes place in the remaining homes, which were all quickly vacated from late 2024 to early 2025. I first learned about the existence of this neighborhood in late 2023, but it wasn't until a year later, when the last few residents were packing up, that I first decided to visit the site and explore the Intrepid Street section. And then right in here is the abandoned side. It is very overgrown in here. This is a lot easier to do during the winter than during the summer. I'm actually going to start with this one here. Okay, so I guess I have two front doors for some reason. Okay, so there is actually some mold in these houses, so I'm gonna go and put my respirator on. What is all this? It's coming right off. a sight this is.
Come on. That's the neighbor's house in there. Oof. This one is pretty dilapidated. See all the way out. Ooh. Well, that one's actually open. these are all the houses facing, I believe this is Saratoga Street. Mouse. Look at this. Got a full-blown tree sticking out through the asphalt. Same there. God, it's such a pain in the ass to try to get through here. There's someone up that way who keeps yelling woohoo. I don't know what the hell he's so excited about.
Upon returning home from Halsey Village, I discovered a rusty nail jammed into my shoe. Luckily, it was short enough that my foot was left unscathed, but still, let this be a lesson not to go exploring abandoned places in your sneakers. I returned to the site a few days later after a heavy snowstorm.
This garage looks remarkably clean. Fuck out of there. So, this is one of the quadplexes. That's 4 houses put together. Ooh. Look at this. Leave information. Check it out. (2003). That's not a mirror that goes straight into the other units. Tree branches growing through the window. look like stalactites. There's a playground in here. I'm tempted to go on the swing, but I don't want to crush my balls on this tree here. Pluto. That's not a planet anymore. Might be the first one that I've seen that's actually locked. You are hereby assigned to military family housing located at blah blah blah. Uh-oh. Lead-based paint and safety precautions. This is from August 1998. The housing unit you have been assigned may have been painted with lead-based paint. Most houses built before 1978 are likely to have some painted surfaces that contain lead. Oh shit. It says it can be breathed in, like if it's chipped away. I forgot to put my respirator on. exclusive batting helmet of Major League Baseball. Okay, here I gotta be kind of careful because I saw the guy in the truck. He was camping by this entrance. I think these are all the pebbles from the roof. It's hard to see, but out that way is the Navy Exchange. Well, one of them. There's the bus stop. I believe there's 2 or 3 throughout the whole neighborhood. Fucking hell. That little twig smacked me right in the face.
So why was this section of the neighborhood abandoned in the first place? We can see from satellite imagery that it cleared out sometime between November 2007 and November 2008. I've searched hard and found absolutely zero news coverage from this period which could enlighten me as to what prompted this sudden evacuation. But that's okay, because I like having a good mystery to solve. So here's what I've gathered. On the Internet Archive, the earliest document that I could find mentioning the deteriorating living conditions in Halsey Village was from a Navy budget estimates report submitted in January of 1990. It highlights various issues with the homes, such as water leaks, clogged vents, outdated gravel roofs, and lack of central AC. It recommended a number of repairs and modifications to the homes. In subsequent reports, 2 more bigger issues would be pointed out, namely the presence of asbestos and leaded paint inside the houses. This is supported by the document I found inside one of the units. So beginning in 1991, numerous local construction companies were contracted to revitalize 1,300 homes at the Navy base, including all of the ones in Halsey Village. You can see from satellite imagery during this time that all the carports were converted to garages. An article in the magazine Navy Civil Engineer states that this renovation project was completed in 2004. But if all these houses were rehabbed, then why did residents start abandoning them just a few years later? Well, here's where another thing likely comes into play. In 2005, the fifth and final Base Realignment and Closure Commission was released. Basically, it was a program in which hundreds of US military bases were either closed or restructured over the course of 2 decades. The 2005 list was the only one to include Naval Station Great Lakes in the realignment section. Many of the personnel at the base were to be relocated elsewhere, and more than 2,000 jobs were threatened. The recommendations from this commission were to be implemented no later than September 15, 2007, and wouldn't you know it, within the next several months, the residents along Intrepid Street were gone. Now unfortunately, in all of the BRAC documents that I've combed through, I couldn't find any explicit mention of Halsey Village. My going theory for a while was that the neighborhood long suffered from substandard living conditions. These conditions were improved somewhat, but still fell short in some way. So when the 2005 BRAC came along and thousands of sailors were due to be relocated, Halsey Village seemed like an easy target to shed unnecessary housing units. Here's the problem with that. If the base was losing personnel and thus being left with a bunch of empty homes, then why were they simultaneously building hundreds of new ones in nearby Forrestal Village? Additionally, within Forrestal are at least 2 clusters of homes that are also abandoned and may have been cleared out before Halsey Village. These loose ends and the lack of info on them are what frustrate me even more about this mystery. Of course, the best source of information on this neighborhood would be its residents. So now is where I appeal to you, the viewer. If you or someone you know happened to live in Halsey Village in 2007 or any year after and could explain why the homes were abandoned, please leave a comment on this video. I can include your story in a future retrospective on this neighborhood. After the abandonment of the Intrepid Street section, the rest of Halsey Village would continue to empty out slowly and quietly over the course of 17 years. In 2016, there was a proposal by the city of North Chicago to redevelop the site as a mixed-use residential and commercial district, but it doesn't seem that these plans went anywhere. By 2020, most of the homes were vacant, not fenced off, but still clearly showing their age. The remaining residents were mostly concentrated in the area furthest from the Intrepid Street section. Halsey Village was relatively notorious locally for its poor living conditions and dilapidated homes, but it wasn't until 2023 that the wider public began paying attention to the neighborhood. In October of that year, a letter from local politicians was sent to military housing officials pleading for the Navy to either improve living conditions in Halsey or demolish it entirely. It reads, quote, "There is not a neighborhood in all of Lake County that is in worse condition than Halsey Village. It is an insult to Great Lakes, the city of North Chicago, and Lake County overall that it has been allowed to fall into such an outrageous state of disrepair." These concerns were brought up by Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth to the Armed Services Committee in May of 2024.
There are 353 housing units within Halsey Village. Currently, 249 housing units are uninhabitable, with 44 of these units so badly deteriorated that they are cornered off behind a chain link fence. I ask that you work with me and my staff to ensure that remediating and redeveloping Halsey Village remains a priority for the Navy and that we are resourcing these efforts appropriately. Can you commit to that?
Absolutely, Senator.
Thank you.
And so, the Navy finally agreed to put in the work to redevelop Halsey Village, selling the land to the city of North Chicago in late 2024. Over the course of half a year, all of the remaining residents left the neighborhood one by one, with the last few leaving in February of 2025. By this point, Halsey Village was well and truly abandoned.
try the one that still has power. That one won't budge. These ones have a slightly different interior design compared to the old ones on Intrepid Street. I assume these ones have gone through a number of renovations. And they've got finished basements. Guess I'm not that slick. I did see a coyote running around here a few minutes ago. I don't know if we'll cross paths again. So these are the single-family homes. They're obviously a bit bigger, as you can see.
As of the making of this video, demolition still has yet to begin, though the bulldozers are likely to arrive very soon. The 2 entrances to the neighborhood are barricaded, and all of the doors and windows on the homes have been boarded up. When I set out to make this, I intended to explore at least half of the 352 houses in Halsey Village. I soon realized, however, that doing so would take fucking forever and would be largely pointless, as all the homes are presumably empty. So that'll do it for my exploration of Halsey Village. It's a place that has fascinated me for some time, and it's surreal to witness its 17-year-long slip into decay finally come to an end. I still don't know the full story of this neighborhood, so again, if anyone knows what happened here, I'm all ears. But for now, like a sinking Navy ship, Halsey will slowly disappear, taking its secrets down with it.